Hey guys, this is Alison from AllyKatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, subscribe. If you haven't done so already. And if you get a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. Google links are at the bottom of this video. Thank you. Yes, we're reading from this today. This came out really good. A little bubbly in the back, but that I couldn't help. Huge and heavy. Also tried something a little different. Got some tourmaline in here. That's what that black stone is. Ring holder. Yep. I had to go to Home Depot today. One, because the mechanic told me I have to keep driving and starting my car and do things more frequently. I'm trying to save money because gas is expensive, but I need my car. So I kind of got a folding table because what I'm working on is a vintage, like probably 1950, 1960 table that my mom had that is tiny. And that's what I'm making all of this stuff on. And I need more space. So I was busy getting that done, and then I did an oracle reading because upstairs was like, you got to get that done for everybody. A lot of people don't want to do the work. Just saying. Just saying. The tree of Sephiroth. Sephiroth. I am not going to get that word projected properly, but close to it. The tree of Sephiroth may be considered an invaluable compendium of the secret philosophy which originally was the secret and soul of Chadicism. That too doesn't want to come out of my word. The Kabbalah is a priceless heritage of Israel, but each year those who comprehend its true principles become fewer in number. The Jew of today, if he lacks a realization of the profundity of his people's doctrines, is usually permeated with the most dangerous form of ignorance, modernism, and is prone to regard the Kabbalah either as an evil to be shunned, like the plague, or as ridiculous superstition which has survived the black magic of the Dark Ages. Yet without the key which the Kabbalah supplies, the spiritual mysteries of both the Old and the New Testament must remain unsolved by Jew and Gentile alike. Pause. That already wasn't even tainted before the Talmud. Have you read it? Eeps. The Sephiroth tree consists of 10 globes of luminous splendor, arranged in 3 vertical columns and connected by 22 channels or paths. The 10 globes are called the Sephiroth, and to them are assigned the numbers I to 10. The 3 columns are called mercy on the right, severity on the left, and between them mildness, as the reconciling power. The columns may also be said to represent wisdom, strength, and beauty, which form the triune support of the universe. For it is written that the foundation of all things is the 3. The 22 channels of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and to them are assigned the major trumps of the tarot deck of symbolic cards. Officius Levi declared that by arranging the tarot cards according to a definite order, man could discover all that is knowable concerning his God, his universe, and himself. When the 10 numbers which pertain to the globe, Sephiroth, are combined with the 22 letters relating to the channels, the resulted sum is 32, the number peculiar to the Kabbalistic paths of wisdom. These paths, occasionally referred to as the 32 teeth in the mouth of the vast countenance, or as its 32 nerves that branch out from the divine brain, and analogous to the first 32 degrees of Freemasonry, which elevate the candidate to the dignity of a prince or a royal secret. Kabbalists also consider it extremely significant that in the original Hebrew scriptures, the name God should occur 32 times in the first chapter of Genesis. In English translations of the Bible, the names appears 33 times. In the mystic analysis of the human body, according to the rabbis, 32 spinal segments lead upward to the temple of wisdom, the skull. The 4 Kabbalistic trees described in the preceding chapters were combined later Jewish scholars into one all-inclusive diagram and termed by them not only the Sephiroth, but also the archetypical or heavenly Adam. According to some authorities, it is the heavenly Adam and not a terrestrial man whose creation is described in the opening chapters of Genesis. Where have we heard this before out of my mouth? Out of the substance of this divine man, the universe was formed. In him it remains and will continue even after dissolution shall resolve the spheres back into their own primitive substance. The deity is never conceived of as actually contained in the Sephiroth, which are purely hypothetical vessels employed to define the limits of the creative essence. Adolf Frank rather likens the Sephiroth to vari-colored, transparent glass bowls filled with pure light, which apparently assumes the color of its containers, but whose essential nature remains ever unchanging and unchangeable. The 10 Sephiroth composing the body of the prototypic Adam, the numbers related to them, and the parts of the universe to which they correspond are as follows. So it's reading the Sephiroth, the universe, and the alternative. 1, Kether, the crown, the universe, premium mobile, the alternative, the fiery heavens. 2, Kokma, wisdom, the zodiac, the first motion. Bina, understanding, Saturn, the zodiac. Chesed, Mercury, Chesed, Mercy, Jupiter, Saturn. Gerba, Servity, Mars, Jupiter. Tippereth, beauty, Sun, Mars. Natsa, victory, Venus, Sun. Had, glory, Mercury, Venus, Hazad, the fountain, moon, Mercury, Malkuth, the kingdom, elements, moon. It must continually be emphasized that the Sephiroth and the proper properties assigned to them, like the tetrates of the Pythagoreans, are merely symbols of the cosmic system with its multitude of parts. The truer and fuller meaning of these emblems may not be revealed by writings or by word of mouth, but must be divined as the result of study and meditation. In the Sifa ha-Zohar, it is written that there is a garment, the written doctrine, which every man may see. Those who understand do not look upon the garment, but at the body beneath it, the intellectual and philosophical code. The wisest of all, however, the servants of the heavenly king, look at nothing save the soul, the spiritual doctrine, which is the eternal and ever springing root of law. Of this great truth, Officius Levi also writes, declaring that none can gain entrance to the secret house of wisdom unless he wear the voluminous cape, of Apollonius of Tyana, and carry in his hand the lamp of Hermes. The cape signifies the qualities of self-possession and self-reliance, which must envelope the seeker as a cloak of strength, while the ever-burning lamp of the sage represents the illumined mind and perfectly balanced intellect, without which the mystery of the ages can never be solved. The Sitheratic tree, sometimes depicted as a human body, thus more definitely establishing the true identity of the first or heavenly man, Adam Kadmon, the idea of the universe. The 10 divine globes, Sithera, are then considered an analogous to the 10 sacred members and organs of the protogonos, according to the following arrangement. Kether is the crown of the prototypic head and perhaps refers to the pineal gland. Kokma and Bina are the right and left hemispheres, respectively, of the great brain. Cheesed and Gerba or Pishad are the right and left arms, respectively, signifying the active creative members of the grand man. Tipthereth is the heart, or according to some, the entire viscera. Netza and Had are the right and left legs, respectively, or the supports of the world. Hazad is the generative system, or the foundation of form. And Malkuth represents the 2 feet, or the base of being. Occasionally, Hazad is considered as the male and Malkuth as the female, generative power. The grand man, thus conceived, is the gigantic image of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, with the head of gold, arms and chest of silver, body of brass, legs of iron, and feet of clay. The medieval Kabbalists also assigned one of the 10 commandments and a 10th part of the Lord's Prayer in sequential order to each of the 10 Sithera. Concerning the emanations from Kether, which establish themselves as 3 triads of creative powers, termed in the Sefer HaZohar, 3 heads each with 3 faces. H.P. Blavatsky writes, this Kether was the first Sithera, containing in herself the one other 9 Sitharoth, or intelligences. In their totality, unity, they represent the archetypal man, Adam Kadmon, who in his individuality or unity is yet dual or bisexual. The Greek douimos, for he is the prototype of all humanity. Thus, we obtain 3 trinities, each contained in a head. In the first head or face, the 3-face Hindu Trimurti, we find Sifra, Kether, the first androgyny at the apex of the upper triangle, emitting Hachma, or wisdom, a masculine and active potency, also called Jah, and Bina, or intelligence, a female and passive potency, also represented by the name Jehovah. These 3 form the first trinity, or the face of the Sithera. This triad emanated Hesed, or mercy, a masculine active potency called El, from which emanated Gebra, or justice, also called Eloha. A feminine passive potency from the union of these two was produced Tefrith, beauty, clemency, and spiritual son, known by the divine name Elohim. And the second triad face or head was formed, these emanating in their turn the masculine potency Netzah, firmness, or Jehovah Sabaoth, who issued the feminine passive potency Had, splendor, or Elohim Sabaoth. The two produce Hesed, foundation, who is the mighty living one El Cha, thus yielding the third trinity or head. The 10th Sephiroth is rather a duad and is represented on the diagrams as a lowest circle. It is Malkuth, or kingdom, and the Shnikta, the called Adonai, and the cherubim among the angelic hosts. The first head is called the intellectual world. The second head is the sensuous, or world of perception. And the third is the material or physical world. See Isis Unveiled. Among the later Kabbalists, there is also a division of the Sephirotic tree into 5 parts, in which the distribution of the globes is according to the following order. 1. Macrophosphorus, or the great face, is a term applied to Kether as the first and most exalted of the Sephiroth, and includes the 9 potencies or Sephiroth issuing from Kether. 2. Abba, the great father, is the term applied to Chothmah, universal wisdom, the first emanation of Kether, but according to Ibn Gerbel, Chichma represents the son, the logos, or the word, born from the union of Kether and Bina. Amma, the great mother, is the name by which Bina, or the third Sephra, is generally known. This is the Holy Ghost, from whose body the generations issue forth. Being the third person of the creative triad, it responds to Jehovah, or the Demiurgus. Macrophosphorus, or the lesser face, is composed of the 6 Sephiroth, Shizad, Gurab, Tithrith, Nitzah, Had, and Hesed. The macrophosphorus is commonly called the lesser atom, or Zura Apin, whereas the macrophosphorus, or superior atom, is Aha Apin. The lesser face is properly symbolized by the 6-pointed star, or interlaced triangles of Zion, and also by the 6 faces of the cube. It represents the directions north, south, northeast, southwest, up and down, and also the first 6 days of creation. In his list of the parts of the microphosphorus, MacGregor Mathers includes Bina as the first and superior part of the lesser atom, thus making his constitution sepentary. If macrophosphorus be considered as sexpartite, then his globe Sephiroth are analogous to the 6 days of creation, and the 10th globe Malkuth is the Sabbath of rest. The bride of the microphosphorus, I can't get that word out, guys, I'm sorry, is Malkuth. The epitome of the Sephiroth is quaternary constitution, being composed of blendings of the 4 elements. This is the divine Eve that is taken out of the side of microphosphorus and combines the potencies of the entire Kabbalistic tree in one sphere, which may be termed man. According to the mysteries of Sithara, the order of creation, or the divine lightning flash, which zigzags through the four winds according to the order of the divine emanations, is thus described from Ein Sof. The nothing and all, the eternal and unconditioned potency issues macro prosophis, the long face, of whom it is written, within his skull exist daily 13,000 myriads of worlds, which draw their existence from him and by him are upheld. Macro prosophis, the directionalized will of Ein Sof, corresponding to Kether, the crown of the Sephiroth, gives birth out of himself to the 9 lesser spheres of which he is the sum and the overbrooding cause, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, by the various combinations of which the laws of the universe are established, constitute the scepter of macro prosophis, which he wields from his flaming throne in the absoluthic world. From the eternal and ancient androgyny, Kether come forth Kokma, the great father, and Bina, the great mother. These two are usually referred to as Abba and Ama, respectively, the first male and the first female, the prototypes of sex. These correspond to the first 2 letters of the sacred name Jehovah, IHVH. The father is the, or I, and the mother is the H. Abba and Ama symbolize the creative activities of the universe and are established in the creative world of Bina. In the Sefer HaZahar, it is written, and therefore all things established in the equity of man, male and female. For were it not so, how could they subsist? The beginning is the father of all things, the father of all fathers, and both are mutually bound together. And the one path, shineth, into the other, kokma. I can't get that word out, guys. Sorry. It's pissing me off, and damn teeth. Wisdom as the father, Bina, understanding as a mother. There is a difference of opinion concerning certain of the relationships of the parts of the first triad. From Kabbalists, including Ibn Gerbel, consider Ketha as the father, Bina as the mother, and Kokma as the son. In the later arrangement, wisdom, which is the attribute of the son, becomes the creator of the lower spheres. The symbol of Bina is a dove, a proper emblem for the brooding material instinct of the universal mother. Because of the close similarity of their creative triad to the Christian Trinity, the later Kabbalists rearranged the first 3 Sephiroth and added a mysterious point called Dath, a hypothetical 11th Sephiroth. This is located where the horizontal line connecting Kokma and Bina crosses the vertical line, joining Ketha and Tiphereth. When Dath is not mentioned by the first Kabbalists, it is a highly important element, and it is addition to the Sephirotic tree was not made without full realization of the significance of each action. If Kokma be considered the active, intelligent energy of Kether, and Bina the receptive capacity of Kether, then Dath becomes the thought which, created by Kokma, flows into Bina. The postulation of Bath clarifies the problem of the creative trinity, for here it is diagrammatically represented as consisting of Kokma, the father, Bina, the mother or Holy Ghost, and Dath, the word by which the worlds were established. Isaac Meyer discounts the importance of Dath, declaring it a subterfuge to conceal the fact that Kether and not Kokma is the true father of the creative triad. He makes no attempt to give a satisfactory explanation for the symbolism of this hypothetical Sithra. You can barely see this, but I'm going to push it up to this screen. It's the tree.
It's a tree.
According to the original conception from the union of divine father and divine mother, is produced microprosophis, the short face or lesser continents, which is established in the Yitzhadic world of formation and corresponds to the letter V in the great name. The 6 powers of microprosophis flow from and are contained in their own source, which is Bena, the mother of the lesser Adam. These constitute the spheres of sacred planets. Their name is Elohim, and they move up upon the face of the deep. The 10th Sithra, Malkuth, the kingdom, is described as the bride of the lesser Adam, created back to back with her Lord, and to it is assigned the final, or H, the last letter of the sacred name. The dwelling place of Malkuth is in the 4th world, Asiya, and it is composed of all the superior powers reflected into the elements of the terrestrial sphere. Thus, it will be seen that the Kabbalistic tree extends through 4 worlds, which its branches in matter and its roots in the ancient of ancients, macroprosophis. 3 vertical columns support the universal system is typified by the Sephiroth tree. The central pillar has its foundation in Kether, the eternal one. It passes downward through the hypothetical Sithra, Dath, and then through Tiphereth and Hizad, with its lower and resting upon the firm foundation of Malkuth, the last of the globes. The true import of the central pillar is equilibrium. It demonstrates how the deity always manifests by emanating poles of expression from the midst of itself, but remaining free from the illusion of polarity. If the numbers of the 4 Sephiroth connected by this column be added together, 1 plus 6 plus 9 plus 10, the sum is 26, the number of Jehovah. The column on the right, which is called Jachin, has its foundation on Kokma, the outpouring wisdom of God, the 3 globes suspended. From it are all masculine potencies. The column at the left is called Boaz. The 3 globes upon it are feminine and receptive potencies, for it is founded in understanding a receptive and material potency. Wisdom, it will be noted, is considered as radiant or outpouring and understanding as receptive, or something which is filled by the flowing of wisdom. The 3 pillars are ultimately united in Malkuth, in which all the powers of the superior worlds are manifested. The 4 globes upon the central column reveal the function of the creative power in the various worlds. In the first world, the creative power is will, the one divine cause. In the second world, the hypothetical death, the world coming forth from the divine thought. In the third world, Tiphereth, the sun, or focal point between God and nature. In the 4th world is twofold, being the positive and negative poles of the reproductive system, of which Hazad is the male and Malkuth is the female. In Kirshner's Sephiroth tree, it should be especially noted that the ornaments of the tabernacle appear in the various parts of the diagram. This indicate a direct relationship between the sacred house of God and the universe, a relationship which must always be considered as existing between the deity through whose activity the world is produced, and the world itself, which must be the house or vehicle of the deity. Could the modern scientific world be sensed, the true profundity of these philosophical deductions of the ancients, it would realize that those who fabricated the structure of the Kabbalah possessed a knowledge of the celestial plan comparable in every respect with that of the modern savant. The Tetragrammaton, or the 4-letter name of God, written thus, is pronounced Jehovah. The first letter is Yod, the germ, the life, the flame, the cause, the one. and the most fundamental of the Jewish phallic emblems. Its numerical value is 10, and it is to be considered as the one containing the 10. In the Kabbalah, it is declared that the yod is in reality 3 yods, of which the first is the beginning, the second is the center, and the third is the end. Its throne is the Sifra Chokmah, according to Ibn Gerbel, Kether, from which it goes forth to impregnate Bena, which is the first he. The result of this union is Tippereth, which is the Vu, whose power is 6, and which symbolizes the 6 members of the lesser Adam. The final he is Malkuth, the inferior mother, partaking in part of the potencies of the divine mother, the first he. By placing the 4th letters of the tetragrammaton in a vertical column, a figure closely resembling the human body is produced, with yod for the head, the first he for the arms and shoulders, vu for the trunk of the body, and the final he for vow for the hips and legs. If the Hebrew letters be exchanged for their English equivalents, the form is not materially changed or the analogy altered. It is also extremely significant that by inserting the letter shin in the middle of the name Jehovah, the word Jose Hosea, it's not Yeshua, Jeshua, close to Yeshua, close, or Jesus is formed thus. That's gonna drive me nuts. In the Kabbalistic mysteries, according to Officius Levi, the name Jehovah is occasionally written by connecting together 24 dots, the 24 powers before the throne, and it is believed that the name of the power of evil is the sign of Jehovah reversed or inverted. Of the great world, Albert Pike writes, the true word of the Mason is to be found in the concealed and profound meaning of the infallible name of deity, communicated by God to Moses, and which meaning was lost by the very precautions taken to conceal it. The true pronunciation of that name was in true a secret, in which, however, was involved the far more profound secret of its meaning. In that meaning, it is included all the truth that can be known by us in regard to the nature of God. I'm not a fan of that Pike doodle. And that actually ends it. The next time is Kabbalistic Keys to the Creation of Man. I read some parts of this work that Manly P. Hall is talking about. It all pronounces right in my brain. Does not so much. So I do apologize. It's really frustrating. I'm trying to get over that and just let it go. But that's kind of hard because you want to get things pronounced right so people hear the words properly. But I know a lot of you have read a lot of this work already, so you kind of understand. Though, I'm not a Pike fan. Never have been. That stupid letter to Mazzini. Sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, and shielding. Please don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe to my channel, support the channel. Amish mindset. Again, a lot of people criticize me for reading his work and works of that nature. But in order to understand what we're going through and the perceptions of others, we must read. And there are some people that follow this work. That's awesome. I don't think there's any one right path. There really isn't. And I only know that because I asked. Upstairs gave some very clear-cut answers that didn't lead me anywhere. Just to say that there's many paths to the one. And we can't be judgmental. And we got to walk our own path. So however you walk that path, just as long as you are a good vibratory human being doing the right thing by humanity, that's all that matters. If you are looking for some healing advice, go watch the latest Oracle reading, because there is a lot of the collective that needs to continue doing their work. I have a ton of work ahead of me, huge amounts of work. And that's just mental gymnastics and meditating and reading. But we all want to ascend. We all want to go to and create this beautiful world. But in order to do that, we got to do the work. And a lot of people aren't doing it. So collectively, there's some blockages happening. The change is happening. Don't resist. Until the next one, guys, be safe, be seen. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Tune in tomorrow at 12 if you are a We Not Me fan. Signing out. Bye, guys.